Once again, you are welcome to my life. Unfortunately, I had a glitch, so I had to go off, but I'm back. So I'll read the poem again. I'll start all over now. And if you haven't followed my channel, this channel is dedicated to making literature interesting, easy to understand, and also relatable, making you understand that literature actually is about life and virtually everything that they talk about or we talked about in literature mirrors situations or circumstances in life. Today's poem is Invictus, a poem by William Ernest Henley. Now, I'll first read the poem and try to do a stanza by stanza analysis. So the poem goes, and I read, out of the night that covers me as sorry, I take it again, sorry. Out of the night that covers me, black as the pit from pole to pole. I thank whatever God may be for my unconquerable soul. In the fell clutch of circumstance, I have not wings nor cried aloud. Under the bludgeoning of chance, my head is bloody, but I'm bowed. Wow. Beyond this place of wrath and tears looms but the horror of the shade, and yet the menace of the years finds and shall find me unafraid. Great determination, great spirit. It matters not how straight the gate, how charged with punishment the scroll. I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul. Invictus is a Latin word that actually means unconquered or undefeated. So basically, one of the greatest things that you can get from this poem is the poet's title. It gives you an idea of the content of the poem. Prose is easier to comprehend. I am not generalizing because there are prosaic works that you read and you may not understand it fully, but comparatively, prosaic work is easier to comprehend than poetry. Some poems or most poems might be shorter than prose, but prose is basically more difficult. Poems are more difficult to comprehend than prose. Now, Invictus, as I said earlier, is a Latin word for undefeated, unconquered. It immediately gives you, the reader, an idea about the theme of the poem, the central idea in the poem. That is, the human spirit can remain undefeated even when the body, the soul, circumstances of fate become so cruel. One thing you should note from the title of the poem is that the poet or the persona, the writer, did not suggest that we have the ability or people can willingly control what happens to them. You don't have that ability to control what happens to you. Maybe a few does, but that is not what the poet is suggesting. But rather, he argues that we have the inner willpower in response to suffering. We have the willpower to decide how to react or how to respond to it. Stanza 1. I read slowly now, then I explain. Out of the night that covers me, black as the pit from pole to pole, I thank whatever gods may be for my unconquerable soul. The speaker, the persona poet, begins from a point of darkness, from a point of suffering, from a point of pain. He used night metaphorically to represent suffering, confusion, fear, illness, despair, anything you can think of it. In sum or in summary, negativity. The phrase covers me suggests that the darkness, the fear, the negativities that he's talking about are overwhelming. They surround him like prison walls. They cover him like heavy blankets. Then he descended. The next line says, black as the pit. You know, if the surface is dark or is black, the deeper you go, the darker it becomes. So black as the pit creates an imagery of extreme darkness, extremity, which suggests that whatever he's going through, he's at the peak of it. He's at the apex of it. Now, the pit added to the black suggests living in hell, suggests death, the end of something, or almost at the end of life, or suggests deep hopelessness, no way out, no way back. Now, then, listen to the final phrase of the second line. From pole to pole, from end to end, from beginning to the end, it has been universal. It's something he has gone through for a long time, and nothing seems to change. Then, my favorite line in stanza 1 comes. I thank whatever gods may be for my unconquerable soul. Surprisingly, the speaker is giving thanks. And this is really surprising because humans do not usually give thanks for pain, give thanks for suffering. But he is. The thanks, the appreciation is not for comfort or rescue, but for his unconquerable soul. The fact that whatever gods may be, have given him the spirit not to give up. Even though things are difficult, even though he is going through darkness, he remains strong inside. So the use of metaphor, the use of simile, the use of religious allusion to the gods, all helps to understand the poem's first stanza in a deeper way. Pain, suffering, agony, but I still give thanks for not giving up. Now stanza 2 goes, in the fell clutch of circumstance, I have not wings nor cried aloud. Under the bludgeoning of chance, my head is bloody, but unbowed. Stanza 2 begins with life is being presented as violent and unpredictable. Circumstance, chance, here suggests forces outside the person's control. There are forces outside his control, like things that he cannot control, that are controlling his life. Now, the word blagging or bludgeoning is kind of violent. It's cacophony. It's a kind of assault on the persona, a heavy blow. Now let's get this. The phrase, Blagginess of chance. It makes suffering seems like repeated physical blow. And he said it earlier in stanza 1, from pole to pole. So the blagginess of chance is that the pain, the blow, the suffering are repeated. Life has not merely, or life was not merely inconvenient, or life has not merely inconvenienced him, it has beaten him. He has been beaten by life. My head is bloody, but I'm bowed. If you follow the discussion so far, you will observe that he has a special way of ending his stanzas. Stanza 1 was ended with thanks for unconquerable soul. Stanza 2 said that my head is bloody, but I'm bowed. This is very emotional. He admits that he has been wounded from the blagginess of chance. He is not feigning or pretending to be untouched, but although his head is bloody, he is still unbowed. He refuses to submit. He refuses to surrender. He refuses to lose his dignity. He refuses to give up. And this is great, great lesson for you to learn. Stanza 3. I'll read. Beyond this place of wrath and tears looms but the horror of the shade. Horror, capital H. One day I have to teach foregrounding. How poets or writers intentionally write some words or lines to draw attention to them. And yet the menace of the years finds and shall find me unafraid. So another stanza ending on a positive note. The speaker, the persona poet or the persona, now looks beyond present sufferings towards the future. He is being futuristic. This place of wrath and tears refers to life itself, a world filled with anger, with pain, with grief, wrath, and tears. The horror of the shade refers to, or may refer to, or might refer to death, or the unknown after death, futuristic. Shade suggests darkness or shadow. When you stand your shadow, the shade, you stand under a tree, the shade of the tree provides a shadow or a shade, if I'm allowed to repeat that. Or you can also say the world of the dead. Now looms makes death or pain feel threatening but unavoidable. It looming is threatening, but you cannot avoid it. The menace of the years refers to the future, aging, continued suffering, uncertainty, and death. The speaker knows that hardship may continue. However, he insists that it finds him and it shall find him unafraid. I will not bow. I will give thanks for my unconquerable soul. You may come and find me. I am here, but I will never get defeated by you. So this basically means that he has been fearless in the past, he is fearless in the present, and he will remain fearless into the future. This is a wonderful point. Trust me. Finally, it matters not how straight the gate, how charged with punishment the scroll. I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul. Wow. If you relate, you'll be sad like I am sad now. Sorry. The final stanza gives the poem its strongest declaration of independence, its strongest declaration of self-awareness. Straight the gate, no matter, it matters not how straight the gate, means the way forward may be narrow, may be crooked, may be difficult, may be restrictive. It may be religious idea here though about judgment and salvation, or judgment and salvation. Now, how charged with punishment the scroll, it suggests records of judgment. You know, a scroll is a place, is Latin, historical. So there's a record of your sins, the record of your punishment, the record of your penalties. But the speaker here imagines a future where suffering, punishment, or judgment may await him. He has suffered a lot already on earth, but he still prognoses that there's likelihood that pain, agony, and suffering is still waiting for him in the future. But he says, and my favorite, sorry, it matters not. It does not mean suffering is meaningless. No, that's not what he says. It means that suffering does not have the final authority over him. His unconquerable soul, his unbowed head is so strong. He being unafraid of whatever that comes his way. The last two lines or the last couplet are the poem's most famous statement. First time I read this poem, I was moved by the last couplet or the couplet that ends the poem. He compares himself to a ruler, to a king, to a captain, to a master that controls his own destiny, to a captain that steers the ship. This metaphor of self-command, of acceptance of responsibility, gives us the idea that no matter what you go through or you are going through, one thing is undeniable, and that thing is that you are in charge of your life. You are the master of your fate. I'm trying to paraphrase what he said. You are the captain of your soul. You are the director of your life. Even if storms come, you have to steer your life. You have to direct affairs in your life. You have to control circumstances in your life. So you see, this is a very great poem. Invictus is a poem about the victory of inner self over external suffering. Henley presents life as a dark, violent, uncertain, and filled with pain entity. However, he insists that your soul should remain unconquered. Your soul should remain unconquered. The poem's strongest idea is that human beings may not control every circumstance, but they can control their courage, their dignity, and their response or responses to hardship. Thank you. See you again in the next class. Bye-bye.